Hi there, welcome to Machine Bytes, your go-to place to learn AI the smart way. In last video, we learned about subfields of the AI. In this video, we will learn about different categories of machine learning algorithms. So machine learning algorithms can be categorized on the basis of different parameters. One of them is supervision, that is how much supervision is required to train an algorithm. The other is the learning strategy. If an algorithm can learn in batches or online learning is supported by that algorithm. And then third one is how predictions are made, whether the algorithm is making predictions on the basis of past data or if it is detecting the patterns in the new data. On the basis of these categories, the machine learning algorithms are further categorized. In today's video, we will learn about the first category on the basis of supervision, how further machine learning algorithms are categorized. On the basis of the supervision, there are four major categories of machine learning algorithms. One is supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and then reinforcement learning. The supervised one are where we have some set of data for which we already know the results. The results are called labels. For example, if we have some data for cars where we have different features of cars given and we have one column cost, how much that particular car will cost. Now, on the basis of this data, in future also we can predict for a new car on the basis of its features that how much cost can be there for that particular car. That is kind of supervised learning. We are learning from the existing data. So in this case, we are predicting the price of car. There can be other category, for example, where the output is categorized into the classes. For example, if we want to predict if a particular transaction is a fraud or not. So we can have multiple features where the attributes of that particular transaction are given. And on the basis of that, we are predicting if that particular transaction is a fraud or not. So the output column can have values like yes, no, like that. Now, when we have a new transaction, then on the basis of this previous data, we can make the prediction for the new transaction, whether that transaction is a fraud or not a fraud. So if we look at these two examples, in this case, we are predicting some value, while in this case, we are classifying the results into two classes, yes or no. So these are the two categories of supervised algorithms. The cost of car example comes under the regression problem, while the fraud detection comes under classification. The next category is unsupervised learning. As the name suggests, we do not have labels here to the provided data. So how do the algorithms learn? They learn on the basis of different approaches. Let's explore them one by one. The first unsupervised technique is clustering. So how clustering works is, for example, if you have this data like this, so we can see that the data is divided into two clusters. So the predictions can be made on the basis of these two clusters. That is called clustering. The other technique is where we reduce the dimensions. Let's take an example. If this is the given data to us, which is represented in a two-dimensional space. This is your x-axis and this is y-axis. Now, to reduce the dimension, what we can do is, if we move the x-axis like this and y-axis like this, so you can see now we can represent the data using the x-axis only. Say this is x dash and this is y dash. So only x dash is required to represent this data because y is almost constant for all the points. This is how we reduce the dimensions. The third category is anomaly detection. Anomaly detection helps in finding out any anomalies in the data. For example, if this is the data and we have some point here, so clearly this point is not nearby any of the existing points. So we can say this is an anomaly. The other category is association. Assume that you work for a supermarket. Now, in supermarkets, it's the general tendency that if someone is buying chips or something like that, then they are likely to buy the cold drinks also. So there is an association between chips and cold drinks. If we are able to find this out, then we will have the counters of chips and cold drinks side by side. That's how association works. The other categories are semi-supervised and reinforcement learning. Let's explore the semi-supervised learning. As the name suggests, in semi-supervised learning, the supervision is partial. How that works is that we have some of the data points, only some, which are labeled. And using that, the other data points are labeled. One of the example of this is Google Photos. So if you have ever noticed that in Google Photos, if you ever mark one of the photo as someone, for example, if you have marked your brother's photo, then it will automatically label other photos of the same person. That's how semi-supervised learning works. We have some data points which are labeled, and using that, we will label the other data points where the label is already not given. And then the algorithm will learn over those data points. The other category is reinforcement learning. As the name suggests, we are enforcing the algorithm to learn from its environment. So in this case, no past data points or labels are given to the system. Instead, we ask the system, which is called agent, to perform some task. On the basis of that task, either reward or penalty is given. So reward is given for a correct decision, while penalty is given for incorrect decision. The aim of this agent is to maximize the reward. That is how that particular agent will learn to make the decisions. That is called reinforcement learning. If you look at this diagram, it summarizes all the categories of machine learning algorithms on the basis of supervision that is required to train them. We have supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement. Under supervised, we have classification, regression, and for that, these are the commonly used algorithms. And for unsupervised, we have clustering, association, anomaly detection. And we have dimensionality reduction also, which is mentioned here. This is dimensionality reduction. For semi-supervised learning, again, we have two categories, classification and regression, same as we have for supervised learning. And then we have reinforcement learning. That's all for this video. In next video, we will be learning about these two categories of machine learning algorithms. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, doubts, or suggestions, please do let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much. Take care.